I did a brain scan recently, and the doctor said, you know, your brain is so overactive. Generally, what we see from someone who's been through a tremendous amount of trauma, like you have the brain of a post-war veteran. The color patterns of your brain and how your brain waves operate indicate to us that there's not a moment of your day where you feel comfortable, safe, or not fearful about the environment that you're in. And I've never had someone so accurately describe to me what it feels like when I'm not on this podcast. I'll walk out this door right now and go right back into it for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I have to tell people like that are like, yo, I'm like, I've had girls, guys, parents, family members, yo, I'll ride with you. I love you. You're a fucking great person. And I have to say to them, I don't want a passenger on this boat. I don't, because I don't want anyone. I don't even like talking about this right now because I don't want anyone to hear this and to have to even like comprehend what that feels like. You know what I'm saying? The reason I'm even bringing all this up is because I'm trying to actively step back a little bit from all this because I have a lot of work to do in my life because I want to be happy. I want to feel safe and okay and not feel like everything around me is always falling apart. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's the reason I do talk about it is because I know there's someone watching this right now that knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You got to talk about it, man. And I've realized that I relate so heavily to a lot of the shit you just said. Like, I think that's why a lot of times when I'm not making content or I'm not actively doing something, like I'm alone, man. And I don't, like, even the guys will invite me places, like my crew, my boys. And I'm just like, it's weird. Cause like I want to, but like sometimes I find myself in places and spaces with people and I'm so caught up in my mind and what's going on there that like I'll avoid social interactions beyond like work and things like this because I almost feel like I'll be there and then someone will look at me and be like, yo, are you not happy? Are you not enjoying this? You know, and it's like, then I feel obligated that like I'm not showing up the way I should show up. And it's so interesting because like, it's not that I want to be that way. It's like, that's why I said I don't know another way to just be and like, to just like let go of all the other shit that spins in my mind all the time. Cause there's definitely a lot of shit that I hold on to. And you know what though, the more that you talked about it and the more I want to say like, you really should speak more about it. Cause I had someone come up to me today, actually a really well-known fitness influencer. Definitely not going to say his name cause it's very private, but he came up to me today and he shared a story with me where I had known this person for a while and I had talked to them in the beginning of their career and I still talk to them to this day. And I share with him some personal information about like my childhood, my dad, which obviously I shared, you know, to people on the internet, but a little more detail, which I've never shared. And he came to me today and told me something that was like, I would have never expected from this person. Like this person essentially, and I don't think they've talked about it, which is why, again, I won't speak on this person's name, was essentially saying like he was going to take his own life in the same manner that my father took his life. And he, sorry.
Sorry, bro. Take your time.
He was gonna do it, and he said that it didn't work, so it fell.
Yep.
And then he told me that the first thing he thought about was the conversation that we had, and then the idea of like his family finding him and having to deal with that and go through that. And it was so interesting because he came up to me and I would have never anticipated this conversation. And he was, you know, he was in his emotion and it just made me feel I don't even know if the word is grateful because like I didn't do anything or change anything. I just like shared a conversation with someone years ago about my circumstance, and it I guess got to some point of realization for him where he's like, okay, this is not how I want it to be, you know. And God is there's some bigger picture that he realized, and then he thinks about this conversation. He's like, okay, this is not how I want it to go, and it's only because I was willing to have that conversation that like there's that moment. Because I think people who do that kind of shit. Like, there's another guy who I actually got to have on the podcast, and I think you guys might have had him on, the guy who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Of course, Kevin Hines.
Kevin.
Very good friend.
Yeah, I got to have Kevin back on. He had messaged me. I lost his number, but he said the same thing where, like, once he did it, he realized so quickly that he was like, all he wanted to do was live.
As soon as he got off. Can I ask you a question? This is just really important. How did it make you feel when he told you that?
Oh man, it's interesting because like it's not even about like my father at this point, but I think because of my circumstances and what I've been through and things that I've been through, even more recently in my life and in my adulthood, and thoughts that I've had and conversations that I've had with myself in regards to the same thing, I feel so grateful that I'm just able to not have done the same thing. I feel so grateful to be able to have these conversations. And, you know, someone like that who's a, you know, I would say a very figurehead in the space and still very young, looking at me somewhat as like a father type figure is interesting to me. Cause like, that's the thing that I always so yearned for and wanted. So to be in a position where like someone's like, yo, cause you shared this story in your life and the way it has affected me or the way it made me think a little bit different about what I'm going through. I think that's the biggest blessing, because at the end of the day, man, like none of this shit really matters, all this shit. But the only thing that does matter is like this is the conversation, is the teaching, is the giving.
This is why I asked you. I've had, because of the book, because of just what you just said, because I talk about this stuff, and I haven't been shy of talking about it and really expressing it. I've had hundreds of conversations with people who have come up to me in person. Forget it's messages on Instagram. Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Full stories. But the people that have come up to me in person, crying, immediately, as soon as they see me, as soon as it just fucking wet dam breaks, full fucking crying, and said, I got your book in jail. I was addicted to heroin. I read your book. I read your story. I'm now working in investment banking. I now have a job at Costco. I'm 9 months clean. I'm talking, this is every fucking day. I was with someone yesterday at Family Style Food Festival. He came up to me and said, your book inspired me. This morning, I was at Equinox. A kid named Ethan came up to me. This morning, today, came up to me. He said, yo, I just want to thank you for talking about the things that you talk about online. You know, it's funny because I find a lot of similarities between you and my mother. And I was like, she's got to be a dope ass chick. And he was like, she died of a heroin overdose 5 years ago. Young kid, 18. And I immediately, you know, because I approached the situation jovially because of the statement he made, I have to then walk back a little bit because now I've just gotten this terrible news, you know. And yeah. Basically said, you know, thank you for talking about the topic. Thank you for talking about the epidemic. Thank you for talking about the people that are dying. Thank you for talking about what it's like to struggle with this type of stuff. And the reason I asked you how it made you feel is because all those things I talked about earlier lack of self-worth, purpose, pleasure in life, happiness, calm, peace. In those moments that I'm approached by someone that I've impacted, all that goes away.
Yeah.
All of that goes away. And for that 1 to 2 minutes when I'm talking to that person, I feel alive. I feel truly, truly alive, and so fucking grateful to be here, and so happy that I woke up today and was able to have that conversation with someone and say, and shake their hand, look in their eyes, tell them fucking keep going, bro. Like, and whatever else we can get out of that conversation before I move back on. You know what I'm saying? And we need to lean into this shit, bro. We really need to lean into this shit. And this is me preaching to the choir, and I hate doing it because I haven't done enough, bro. I really haven't. Writing the book was a great start. Talking about this stuff is a great start. And I know I can't be so hard on myself, but there's so much work for us to do in this space, bro. There's so many people out there that are fucking hurting, that wake up every day with no sense of direction, no desire to even be here anymore. That's really the people that I really am aiming at when I say this shit. Because I felt like that once, and I still struggle. I'm not promising anybody that it's going to get perfect, but that is why you're absolutely right, and why I need to talk about this stuff. And it would be shameful of me to not talk about the struggles that I continue to go through, because I feel like it may sadden someone because they see me still going. That's the fucking message.
Yeah. Well,
that's the message.
Yeah, and it's all about perspective, but people can't get, sometimes when they're in their own shit, they can't look outside of it. It's hard for them to take a step back and look at it. They're just in it, and they only see through that lens. So that's why it's so important to have conversation, because for someone to see, you went from A to Z, or A to C, whatever, A to fucking Y, A to fucking G, they could see that where you came from. If they can make any relationship to where they've been,
Yeah.
or where they're at, then they're able to see, you went from A, B, C, you made it to where they want to be, or somewhere they think they could be, and you show proof that their ability could be there as well, because they can relate.
Yeah,
So,
and then watch this. Like, I want to cut back a second, because like I did voice some struggles. The main point is, I'm even on my worst day, I'm 99.9% better than I was on those days when I didn't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the message. So like, yes, there's a lot of stuff that I still need to work on. Basically, I'm saying that I'm doing my best now to prioritize continued evolution and continued progress in mental health. But god dang, am I happy that something got to me, and God got to me, and my mother got to me, and the Connecticut probation got to me, and the rehab center got to me to put me in the direction that I'm at, so that I was able to now go and serve out a purpose, which is helping other people. And man, I want to do so much more.